Alright, this is a mapping proof for chapter 27 and chapter 28 case studies. So first off, we got a cerebral infarct due to stenosis of the cerebral artery. What I did is I used the ICD-10 online code book, and I started by going to infarct. Sorry for my pronunciations of anything. And then cerebral, then due to stenosis. Now I had to look around a little bit, but I ended up getting to I-63.219, which does stand for I-60. Cerebral infraction due to unspecified occlusion or stenosis of unspecified cerebral artery. Next, we got chronic diastolic heart failure. Started with failure, going into heart in the diastolic to end up with I-50.32. We got the left ventral aneurysm. Start with aneurysm, ventricle, which ended up leading into C, aneurysm heart, and that gave me I-25.3. Pre-infarctual angina. Started with angina, typed in PRE. Continuing on, it went into angina unstable, which gave me I-20.0. Atherosclerosis of the left internal mammary artery bypass graft. I thought it was I-25.812 because I typed in atherosclerosis. Coronary bypass. And I thought this was it, so hang on, I gotta remember. I-5. But turns out it was not that. It was, I scrolled up a little bit to look for something that matched better and more accurately, and that ended up me at atherosclerosis of coronary artery bypass grafts without angina infarctus, which also stands for the graft not otherwise specified. So that's why I put I-25.10. Abdominal aortic aneurysm ruptured. Put aneurysm, aorta, I think, abdominal, and then ruptured, which led me to I-71.3. Acute MI, anterior wall, anterior episode. So MI is myocardium. So I put infarct, myocardium, ST, elevation, anterior, I-21.09. To the next page. So for acute pulmonary edema with left ventricle failure, we started with failure ventricle left, and doing so led me to, one moment. I-50.1, which includes acute pulmonary edema, so there's no reason for me to have another code, and it only applies to these three, so I-50.1, that's how I got that. Hyperintensive cardiomegaly and intensive stage IV chronic kidney disease. I put in hypertensive heart and chronic kidney disease in the text search. Ended up getting to I13.10. This big text, I saw the urinary tract, UTI due to E. coli. UTI is N39.0. The E. coli is B96.20. Then we have cardiac arrhythmia, which went up to I49.9. And then MI, as it said, was, I already forgot, I21.19. Moving on to HTN due to Cushing disease. I put H19, and then due to specified disease. It got me to I15.8. And then Cushing disease, so I just put Cushing and then disease, got me to E24.9. And that's where I got I15.8, E24.9. Unstable angina with acute and sub-endocardial infraction. Initial episode, I put infarct and then subcardinal infraction, and then I got to I21.4. These are the ones that I struggled with, at least in chapter 27. The acute cerebral vascular incident due to stenosis and infarction of artery, I was just lost, I didn't know. As for CHF and ESRD due to accelerating HITN, I was lost a little bit, but I do know that it stands for end-stage renal disease and then cardiorenal heart failure. I don't remember what this means, but I need to figure it out. Anterior ventricle block, it was type 2. I started with block, intraventricle, and then type 1 and type 2. That got me to I41.1. Dysarthria, secondary to Old Stoke, so aka cerebrovascular disease. Started with dysenteria, then the word following, since it secondary means to follow or after, and then cerebrovascular disease, and it got to me I69.922. Another one I was lost on. Let's see. I just didn't know where to start. So, permanent cardiac pacemaker is in procedures. I don't know. I just lost. All right, then we will move on to chapter 28, case studies. This one, these case studies I really struggled on. I gotta go back through the answer key after this and figure out where I went wrong and what answers are right or not. For both of them at that. Alright. This big text in with the superiorleomoria of the uterus. No idea. The only one I could figure it out, because this one was full of a bunch of procedural codes, was the code for total abdominal hysterectomy, which is OUT. I actually don't remember. But I was very lost on this one. Same with this one, just a little worse. Cancer and ovarian tumors. Chemotherapy treatments. It's also in procedures. I was just lost. This one threw me a doozy. I didn't know what the diagnostic code for carcinoma of the right breast was, but I do know the procedural code for radial mastectomy, which is OHTTOZZ. Monocytic leukemia, chronic in remission. Started with leukemia, chronic, monocytic, and then looked for the one that had in remission, and it got me to C93.11. And then just to remind you, I've been doing this on the digital code book to find what I was looking for, so I didn't have to root through the big massive textbook. Next, emission for chemotherapy, 25-year-old male with inoperable giant cell glioblastoma chemotherapy. First, we got the admission for chemotherapy. I think which one did I put first? C51.11. Yes, we put the admission for chemotherapy, which is encounter 4-3 chemotherapy, which excuse me, which went out to Z51.11, and then the giant cell glioblastoma. So you first code blastoma, and then I put a comma, and then giant, which ended up going to giant cell, which ended up with C71.9. Metastatic carcinoma to bile duct. Carcinoma bile duct, it's a malignant neoplasm, which would be in the C22.1 code. Metastatic carcinoma, the colon to the lung. These two got very close together when I printed this, so I don't know. I did figure out C18.9. The malignant neoplasm of the colon, which was C18.9, but I didn't know how to code it to the lung. And then we got adenocarcinoma of the stomach spread to the peritoneum. This one was much of the same. We got the malignant neoplasm to the stomach, which was, I believe, C16.9. I just didn't know how to spread it to the perineum. I'm unsure of that code. Alright. So this is another couple that I was very confused on. We got metastatic serous papillary ovarian carcinoma. I know what ovarian is. It's the ovary, and then you got the malignant neoplasm. I was just very lost. We got hematoglioma of the skin of the lower leg. I put hemoglia skin, and I believe it was for the lower limbs. 18.01. Oh, no, okay. Yeah, it was just hemoglobin of the skin, which is D18.01. This one, another one I was confused about. Esophagus being the neck and up. I just didn't know the carcinoma of the cervical lymph nodes. No clue. Same with this one. I didn't even know where to start. Something we got abdominal aortic aneurysm, and then for procedure codes, it said it had been opened, which would be open in the procedural codes. Aneurysm was small. I didn't know where to start or what code to put first. And then we got carcinoma of I pronounced it right that down. In stool of cervix. So you put carcinoma, which I looked around for a while, and I found out that there was also NStew. So after that, and then you go to cervix, which gives you DO 6.9. Another one I was a little confused about. I got, and let me check that code, because I don't quite remember. 4.11. We have malignant neoplasm of upper lobe, right bronchus, or lung. So I got the upper lobe of the lung for the malignant neoplasm, which gave me C34.11. And after that, it was procedural codes involving laparotomy of open biopsy, so it'd be open periodontal implants, and then a cholesterol cinnamotomy. I couldn't figure out how to code those through the procedurals tab. We got encounter for chemotherapy for a patient with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and then more chemotherapy. Encounter for chemotherapy, which was, you put a counter and then chemotherapy. Z51.11, and then Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is put lymphoma and then Hodgkin's, you get C81.90, and then I'm unsure. I think we need another code since it's after this, but I was not sure if I needed it or not. I believe I do though. So propaga carcinoma of colon, which is malignant neoplasm of colon. Let me make sure I got that code correct. 18.9. Yes, so malignant neoplasm of colon, which gave me C18.9, and then flexible sigmoidoscopy, which was ODJD8CZ. And I was in procedures, started with sigmoidoscopy and then flexible after. We got metastatic keratoconus of bronchus. Started with malignant neoplasm of the lung in the text search. Ended up with C34.90. Is this thing's malignant neoplasm, and then of the lung. Malignant carceroid of the appendix, which by this point we got to C7A point. Is that like no? Okay, sorry. C7A020. Then we have. Let me make sure those are the correct procedural codes that I got. Oops. Hang on. T N I believe this procedural code was ODTJOZZ, is for appendicectomy. And then we had rescission of sigmoid colon, which is AODTNOZZ. Those might be backwards. I seem to be unable to find them, so. Moving on. This patient was admitted for metastatic carcinoma of pelvic bone from the prostate. So I thought it was a C41.2. C41. Oops, my thing just exploded. C. Why are you not working? There we go. 21. Oh, there's not a 1 behind that. I'm crazy. Which was the... What? I'm not sure where I got that from. Oh, yeah, I do. I put the wrong code. I did think it was C41.4, so, yeah, C41.4, but then I saw the from the, which is a secondary term, which did get me to C79.51, which dictates secondary malignant neoplasm of the bone. So that's why I have C79.51 and not this one. And then we have C61, which I believe is malignant neoplasm of the prostate. Let me confirm. Yes. C61 is malignant neoplasm of the prostate. And then we have a neoplasm of the arm. This is paloma of the arm. And it was an upper limb. Going through the neoplasms of skin, which was of upper limb, including the shoulder. So once I found neoplasm of skin and then located an upper limb, I ended up on the code of D23.60. I will be definitely reviewing this, since I know there's a lot of areas I have trouble in, and I need to study for the up-and-coming exam, not to mention the final. So that is how I got all of my codes for the case studies.